World War II. How the World Broke. It's 1919. The First World War is finally over. After 4 years of trenches, artillery, poison gas, and unimaginable destruction, Europe is exhausted. Millions are dead. Entire cities are shattered. And the world promises itself one thing: never again. Then came the Treaty of Versailles. And instead of rebuilding Europe carefully, the victorious powers humiliated Germany. Germany lost land, lost colonies, lost most of its military, and was forced to pay enormous reparations for the war. But the worst part was psychological. Germany was forced to officially accept blame for the entire conflict. Now imagine being an ordinary German citizen. Your country is collapsing, your economy is ruined, and the rest of the world is telling you everything is your fault. People were angry, and anger creates opportunity. The 1920s in Germany were chaos. Inflation became so extreme that money practically lost value. People carried stacks of cash just to buy bread. Workers were paid multiple times a day because prices kept changing by the hour. Meanwhile, the government looked weak and divided. Political parties fought constantly. Nothing seemed stable. And into that situation stepped Adolf Hitler. Before politics, Hitler was a failed artist from Austria, rejected from art school, living in poverty, trying to survive by selling small paintings. Then World War I gave him purpose. He joined the German army and became deeply attached to the idea of national pride and military strength. So, when Germany lost, Hitler took it personally. He became obsessed with the idea that Germany had not truly been defeated in battle. Instead, he claimed Germany had been betrayed from within. Hitler joined a small political movement that became the Nazi Party. At first, hardly anyone cared. But Hitler had one major advantage. He was an incredibly powerful speaker. He understood how to speak to frustrated people. He told Germans, "You are not weak. You were betrayed. You are not failures. You were robbed." And then he gave them enemies. Jews, communists, foreigners, political opponents. It was propaganda built on hatred and lies. But to desperate people, it sounded like an explanation. In 1923, Hitler attempted to overthrow the German government in Munich. The coup failed. People died. Hitler was arrested for treason. But prison ended up helping him. During his time there, he wrote Mein Kampf, My Struggle. In the book, Hitler openly explained his beliefs, his racism, his hatred of Jewish people, his plans to expand Germany through conquest. People could literally read what he intended to do. Most assumed he was exaggerating. He was not. For several years, the Nazi Party remained relatively small. Then the Great Depression hit in 1929. The global economy collapsed. Banks failed. Businesses closed. Millions lost jobs. Germany was hit especially hard, and suddenly Hitler's promises of strength, order, and national revival became much more appealing. By 1932, the Nazi Party had become the largest party in Germany, and in January 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg appointed Hitler chancellor. Many politicians believed they could control him. They were disastrously wrong. Hitler moved quickly. After a fire destroyed the German parliament building, he used the crisis to expand his power. Civil liberties were suspended. Political opponents were arrested. Emergency powers were introduced. Then came the Enabling Act, which allowed Hitler to rule without parliament. Opposition parties were banned. Critics disappeared. Democracy collapsed. By 1934, Hitler had combined the roles of president and chancellor into one title, Führer. Germany had become a dictatorship, but Germany was not alone. In Italy, Benito Mussolini had already created a fascist regime years earlier. He promised military strength, nationalism, and the return of Italian greatness. Italy, despite being on the winning side of World War I, felt dissatisfied and humiliated. Mussolini used that frustration to gain power and slowly destroy democracy. Then there was Japan. Japan had modernized rapidly and built a strong military, but many Japanese leaders believed Western nations treated them unfairly. Japan also lacked natural resources, so military expansion became the solution. In 1931, Japan invaded Manchuria and China. The League of Nations condemned the invasion. Japan ignored them and kept the territory anyway. That exposed a major weakness in the international system. There were rules, but no real way to enforce them. By the mid-1930s, the world was becoming increasingly dangerous. Germany was rebuilding its military. Italy was expanding aggressively. Japan was building an empire in Asia, and Britain and France desperately wanted to avoid another world war. That fear led to a policy called appeasement. The idea was simple. Give Hitler some of what he wants and maybe he'll stop asking for more. So Hitler started testing limits. He rebuilt the German military in violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Britain and France protested, then did nothing. He sent German troops into the Rhineland, a demilitarized zone near France. Again, no serious response. Hitler realized something important. The Allied powers did not want war badly enough to stop him, so he pushed further. In 1938, Germany annexed Austria. Many Austrians even welcomed the German troops. Britain and France watched and did nothing. Then Hitler demanded the Sudetenland, a region of Czechoslovakia with a large ethnic German population. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain tried negotiating with him. At the Munich conference, Britain and France agreed to hand over the territory in hopes of preserving peace. Chamberlain returned home, proudly declaring, "Peace for our time." 6 months later, Hitler invaded the rest of Czechoslovakia anyway. The promises meant nothing, and still Europe hesitated. Until September 1st, 1939. Germany invaded Poland. Britain and France had warned Hitler that invading Poland would mean war. This time, they followed through. They declared war on Germany. And the world that had spent 20 years trying to prevent another catastrophe had just entered an even larger one.